Well, hey, guys, good whatever morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you're watching this. I am with benny.yu. benny.yu is the founder of El Pozo de Vida in Mexico City. He's a pastor at Vida, and you're probably one of my closest friends in the world. Is that a
Yeah.
fair? Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, we were really close, bro.
Which
I
one is
miss you
the
so
which?
much.
I miss you too, but which is the most important thing? I'm gonna go with friend.
I think friend is really it's top.
Yeah. And so, Benny, tell me a little bit about El Pozo. Tell me what you guys do. Give me a little bit of indication of what you're all about.
Yeah, so we fight human trafficking here in Mexico and within the Central America region. And so we do it. Our focus is in three areas: in the areas of prevention, intervention, and restoration. And we do it in those three areas because we feel it's really important for us to be able to attack the issue with a holistic approach. And so we have a holistic model, and so we do a lot of prevention work, which is more geared towards education and awareness. Shining a little bit more light. But the whole premise of that is so that we can prevent potential victims, and even on the demand side, people who would be part of the demand, from ever participating into any type of human trafficking. And then the intervention work is right there, trying to intervene and rescue those who are at risk. We have projects in the red light districts, and we're face to face, interfacing with women, thousands of women per year. Last year, in all of our programs, we've reached over 50,000 beneficiaries. And then our restoration is all that work that we have to do to help these women and kids get back into society in a healthy, stable way, both not only emotionally and physically, but we also want to help them with their educations, with jobs, job placement. And so all of those things, it has to be more 360. It's a 360 view.
Yeah,
So
and your intervention. So you have a sort of like a center
yeah,
in La Merced, and La
right.
Merced, if I'm not mistaken, is the one of, if not the largest, prostitution areas in all of the Americas.
Yeah, in all of the Americas, there's in about a square half mile, there are about 3 to 5 thousand women in prostitution, and it's a it's a it's one of the heaviest and darkest places, to do work. But I mean, our conviction is we can't, skirt around this issue. We want to be in the eye of the hurricane.
So with COVID, so COVID-19 comes along, and everybody's sheltering in place, and people make the assumption, well, that's great then, like no more prostitution, no more human trafficking. Is that the
Yeah.
reality?
No, that's actually not the reality. It has gone down. But we're talking with the women. I mean, they did complain the fact that the city came in and shut down all the hotels. They did that, but La Merced is also a market area, so it still is there's still a lot of movement there from the market. But they're telling us that instead of using the hotels now, they are using these makeshift rooms that they've been putting up in parking lots and parking decks. And so, they don't have access to running water or bathrooms. It's pretty inhumane. And yeah, you would think that this is, that no one would go out and participate in the commercial sex industry, but it's there. It's happening. The other thing that we've noticed and seen, and I told our team this at the outbreak of COVID, we're going to start seeing, there's two things. We're going to start seeing the cartels move more towards human trafficking. They're going to bring more of that into their portfolio, so to speak. And then also we're going to see them be financially shaken or unstable. They are not going to be as sustainable financially. So actually a news report came out yesterday documenting how the cartels are actually starting to make this shift. So it's already in the news, and they're reporting on it. And so it's been, it's it's actually probably our time right now, the perfect time for us in this gap, in this window of opportunity to be able to get in there and really intervene with these women. It's the moment, and we have to seize that moment. It's a very unique opportunity in history. There's nothing like this time.
Yeah, and I know that you guys, in partnership with local churches and different things, are feeding. Like you're going out and giving despensa, or like in Spanish it's despensa, but essentially it's sort of like food for a couple days
Right.
to women in danger. But in essence, what we're saying is not only is it still happening, but it's more dangerous than it's ever been.
Yes, it's more dangerous than it's ever been, and we found that you know we were we were out there the first week and giving out food. Um, it was chaotic. It was really chaotic because the desperation of the people and their fear that they had, it was a little bit overwhelming. I mean, I took my wife and she just couldn't stop crying. She was just so moved. Then, back at the beginning of the year, I was saying, hey, we need to do stuff for these women. What if we gave them this box? I called it like Freedom Box or Dream Box. And that in that box, they would have everything that they need to start a small business, like a micro business. And then it'll be enough for a week or two of the material that they need, startup material, and materia prima, which is what do you call? How do you say that in English?
Sort of like the raw material.
Yeah, raw materials, like raw materials. Yeah, exactly. And then we continue to provide the raw materials to a certain point, and then also walk them through, like, helping them understand their finances, savings, and basically do that whole social work component as well. So then, February, March hits, COVID outbreak happens. We were planning on launching it sometime later on this year. But we decided to do it right away. Our initial freedom boxes or dream boxes were looking like doing baked goods, something that can sell and they can get cash, right away. But that was probably not going to be the reality with this outbreak. So what we decided was for these women to make face masks. So we're just a little over a week into launching the program. We have already 10 women in the program. There's a wait list for women to be in the program. Wednesday, we fulfilled an order for a couple hundred on Friday, and Wednesday, we already got word that someone wants to put an order for 1,000 face masks. So, and these are like these nice face masks, more like the surgeons would use. You would tie, and they're 3-layered, and you have a pocket to put a filter in. They're really nicely done. They have little different, designs, a little bit more fashionable, because it's now it's going to become an accessory. Like everybody's going to have one.
And this sort of becomes a thing where the food is necessary to sustain our life for today, but this sort of dream box then becomes something that can sustain their days going forward.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I mean, we were handing out the food, and I was like, okay, this food's going to run out within a week, at the most. And they're going to need to pay for other things. They're going to pay for the rent, utilities, other things. And so how are they? I mean, we can't just give them food. We have to provide them, some economic sustainability. If not, they're going to become even more vulnerable. And that's why we're doing what we're doing.
Now, I've had the privilege of being sort of in the front seat watching the life of El Pozo go from an idea essentially into what it is today. And so I am aware that it is not a wealthy organization, that you guys are really walking by faith and going wherever Jesus says that his kingdom needs to go, and which is everywhere. There's there's captivity and bondage, and
Right.
there's a need of freedom, and trusting God, and He's provided at every step. But how are you guys as an organization financially situated for something like COVID, which now has an economic impact on the whole world?
Yeah. Well, we've we've talked to all of our major grants, the foundations where we get our grants. They've committed that they're going to fulfill, at least for this year, whatever if it was a multi-year, that they're going to fulfill it. So, and these are larger foundations, so we feel a little bit safe there. We did get contacted by 2 or 3 of them that gave us COVID response donations. But our greatest return and really vertical as far as looking at our donor base that we want to grow in is our individual donors. Grants are usually 12 to 18 months down the pipeline, and so to really stabilize ourselves, because we're only always just 2 months away. I mean, we always have been, and we probably always will be.
Yeah.
I just remember I read George Mueller's autobiography, and he's like the scene of where it's like he has like hundreds of orphans, no food on the table. He prays and he prays to God for the food, for their meal, and he prays for them, like saying, giving thanks for the food. There's nothing on the table, and as soon as he says amen, there's a knock on the door, and I'm like, reading that book, I'm like crying, and I'm like looking up at God. I'm like, this is how I want to live my life, and now I need to live it. And I'm like, why did I ever want to say that?
Be careful what you say to God. He'll take you at your word.
If there's any lesson from this video, it's going to be that. Like, be careful what you say. Yeah, so we want to focus in on our individual donors, because if a heartstring is pulled, they go and they donate, it might be $20, $50 per month. And we know if we can, we're planning on trying to get another 200 to 300 individual donors monthly in these next couple of months. That's kind of like our target. That will help us, stabilize ourselves so that we can focus in on other larger grants that will help us, kind of continue to grow.
And I think what's interesting is that this is a unique season because the realities are that the economics in the world are shifting in a pretty drastic way, but especially around human trafficking, this is a really God moment, because there's going to be an openness to act that hasn't been unprecedented, but there's also going to be a demand and an increase in human trafficking that is also unprecedented. Because
Yes.
when you're dealing with, and my understanding is when you're dealing with cartels that are struggling to make ends meet financially, they're going to go to the easy money. And the easy money is to prey on the vulnerable who also need money and are susceptible, right? And so this becomes one of those really unique kingdom things where it's the worst economy and the best time to invest.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And it is that moment in history. It's a moment to really be able to strike. I mean, our team is prepared. They're kind of chomping at the bit type of thing, to think of innovative ways. I mean, still do things. We're still active. We're still reaching out. We're now leveraging technology more and more to be able to engage with our beneficiaries. And this is something where we need to strike now. And we need what we need more than anything, more than running out, is and helping people. We need to build infrastructure that leads these vulnerable people towards justice.
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to build. We're trying to build these models where they will have an infrastructure, and it's easy, it's replicable. It's going to be bumpy. There's going to be problems, but that comes with anything. But we have an infrastructure set up, and if we can replicate it and we can continue to do what we're doing, I think there will be a lot of people that will have, justice in their life.
Yeah. So right now, you guys are operational. You're 100% at capacity of what you were doing, even though some of it has shifted.
Yeah.
How are you guys? You guys have been in Mexico for it's 13 years now,
Yeah.
right? And you guys have been missionaries. You've been bivocational. You help lead the local church. You guys, how does this impact you guys financially?
Well, we've been good. We've been actually good. I mean, people have been very generous.
Yeah.
And we're very grateful for that generosity. I mean, I see so much hope in other people, like people reaching out, not just to us. I mean, just to everywhere that they need help. And I mean, it is so much. It's so encouraging. It brings me so much more hope, because I thought everybody was, so selfish and, and, all they cared about was, what, clothes they were wearing or cars they were driving, but it's not that anymore. I mean, we're starting to see a shift, and it's a really beautiful thing to see within humanity.
Yeah, there is this. It's a sense that I feel sort of internationally that the me is converting into the we.
Yeah.
We are hopefully losing some of the egocentric nature in the way we live our lives, and realizing the value of a communal, especially as Christ followers, a communal life around the kingdom of God and the justice that He calls us into.
Yeah.
So, but if I am sitting here and I'm watching it and I'm going, man, like first of all, they're doing great work, and we know you are. I'll say this: the faithfulness you have exhibited with little, it is the kind of faithfulness that God smiles on. I mean, I've watched you guys do crazy amounts of things with a very, very tiny budget. But if I'm sitting here and going, okay, how would I get involved? Like, what are some ways, like practical ways, whether it's places I can contribute, if I can be one of these new donors, even if it's $20 a month, $10 a month, whatever it is that I can do it, or support you guys personally as missionaries. What are the ways that I can connect?
Yeah. If you could, and if you go on our website or via PayPal at donations at elpozodevida.org.mx, or our website, www.elpozodevida.org.mx, /donate. You can donate, and then you can actually put in specifically for COVID, and all that money will go directly towards our COVID response. And we've been using the majority of that money to provide for the food, but then also develop these micro businesses. And that's where the bulk of the money will go. You'll be able to provide a livelihood for women, families, and then start building the infrastructure where these women will have systematically and on a larger scale be able to get out of the darkness of human trafficking. If you just want to commit to our general donation, you can give that way as well. If you can commit to a monthly, that will help us a lot. But we're open to one-time gifts as well, or connecting us to anybody that you know within the textile industry or anything like that. If it's something like you're connecting, this Benny should talk to these people. We're definitely open to have those conversations. Our family, we have a core of people that do support us, and if you want to join, just write me at benny.yu at elpozodevida.org.mx, and I can get you all the information you need to support our family. But we raise all of our family support separately from the organization.
Yeah, and that's what I love is like all the money that goes to El Pozo de Vida actually goes to the work of El Pozo de Vida. And that's why I want to make sure that I'm asking about you guys personally too, because I know that you guys do such a big amount of your fundraising goes for El Pozo, not even for you personally.
Yeah.
And I think what I'll do is I'll make sure that all those links are in the comments or in the description of these videos so people can go to them. And then lastly, Benny, like, what do you see? What's the thing that sparks hope in you in the midst of all of this, in the midst of looking at what the future seems to hold for us? What is the thing that sparks hope and joy in you right now?
You know, hope and joy. I mean, sometimes you would think in this season it's kind of out of your reach, or it's just barely out of your reach. I've found that when I am either interacting with more people, or I'm out there serving, if I'm giving of myself, like, generosity of my heart leads to greater joy. Generosity of my time leads to greater hope. I mean, it is in generosity that I find those moments, and it's when I open myself up and of my time and energy and everything that I have, and but in those moments, it's rather than like thinking about all the systemic issues, looking at somebody in their eyes, and saying, just connecting with the person that's in front of you, whether it's via a screen or whether it's right in person. You have to connect with people.
Yeah.
That connection has brought me so much joy. And we're out there, people are crying. They're so thankful. And I have to look them right in the eye, I'm more used to giving hugs and stuff like that,
Yeah.
but I'm like, have to do it from a very distance. But
Social distance hugs are really weird.
Yeah, it's really weird, especially in the Latin context. It's very difficult. But they see that that eye connection is probably even stronger than any type of warm embrace I could give, because I let them know that I see them, and through that, my hope is that they know that God sees them.
Yeah. Well, listen, there are very few people in the world that I'm prouder to call friend than you. I love you, man. Thank you for this. Yeah, thank you.
I love you, bro.
Love you, man. Bye.
Bye.